Our next reader tonight is Colleen Robbins. Colleen is originally from Long Island, New York, but you won't hear any accent in her voice because she's been all around this world. Her and Johnny Cash have been everywhere, man. Mostly coastal.
Just around the country.
Just around the country. But she landed in Joliet, Illinois a few years ago. Colleen has been writing since the age of 9, and if she doesn't write often enough, the stories start to write themselves in her head. She's published numerous short stories, essays, and poems, and is continuing to edit a YA fantasy trilogy with 5 books in various stages of draft. Now I got to tell you, I work for the public school district, and I'm familiar with Common Core and all the complaints about it, but I don't understand how a trilogy can be 5 books. That math just doesn't work in any case. But we'll take it.
It may continue to 6, 7, 8 the way it's going.
Okay. Eventually, her inner editor will let her rest, probably when she nears her 250th birthday. Tonight, she's going to start with a short story called Do Svidaniya. Colleen Robbins.
Do Svidaniya. The doors flew open as the final bell rang, students pouring out of the building into the autumn sunshine. Rick lagged behind with Nathan, Andy, and David, the 4 musketeers chattering away. Hello, Do Svidaniya. Mon imya at Rick. Hello, goodbye. My name is Rick. The first Friday gifted class meeting, and they got to learn Russian. How often do you get to learn a private language with your friends? It more than made up for the half-day class they missed. By the end of the 4th week, the principal met with the boys and their parents after school. The school secretary sniffed as she passed slick paper copies around the table. Your boys are passing notes in class. If this continues, they'll be assigned to detention. Her nasal voice tripped over the last word. The principal is on the phone. He'll be in soon. She shut the door. Principal Jenkins entered the conference room a moment later. The parents, 2 in naval uniform, waved the copies in the air. What is this gibberish? Jenkins waved everyone to silence before he took a seat at the table. The language is Russian, and over 90% of the students in this school are from military families. I thought this could threaten security. He set a yellow legal pad on the table. I've just gotten off the phone with the gifted teacher. The 5th grade gifted students chose between Russian and Japanese for some basic foreign language instruction. What's wrong with French, with Spanish, or Latin? Those languages are available during junior high school. When is my son ever going to use Russian? I am informed that foreign language stretches the mind. I do not have the authority to force a curriculum change. You have the option to drop your children out of the gifted class. After a long and loud discussion, the parents decided to keep the class. Rick threw his backpack on the couch. What do you mean we're moving next week? The Musketeers have been together since kindergarten. That's 7 years. We're all in gifted together. The guys need me, Mom. Dad's leaving the Navy for a civilian job. We'll be staying in Setauket with Grandma for the rest of the school year. She wrapped paper around a plate and stacked it in a box. Can't I stay with Andy or Nathan or David until school's out? Isn't there anyone in Connecticut I can stay with? Well, that's not an option. Friday's your last day of school here. On Saturday, we're driving to New York. Rick shuffled in behind the principal, a woman in this school, on his way to room 35, the last classroom in the hall. The principal knocked and then opened the door. Mr. Krause, this is your new student. She handed off a folder to the teacher and pushed it inside. We'll send a desk down later. 32 desks arranged in groups of 4, every last one in use. Half of the groups wore matching colors, just like his own 4 musketeers. All of these kids knew each other, and they all snickered when the teacher pulled out a folding chair for Rick to sit next to the radiator. He hated this school already. It took the school a full 2 weeks to find Rick a desk, and they delivered 2, setting the desks against the back wall. He twisted around to see the board and copied the day's assignments into the corner of his notebook. Math, science, reading, and social studies. He pulled out a pencil. 2 hours later, he finished his last worksheet and opened a book. 2 boys using a time-traveling ring to visit a Pleistocene era after an earlier stop where they tamed a dinosaur of sorts. A knock on the classroom door roused him from his reading. The principal stood at the door, pushing another boy into class. We'll arrange a translator as soon as we can find one that speaks Czechoslovakian. The principal closed the door. The teacher glanced at the student's file and steered the new boy to the empty desk next to Rick. Sit here, Grigori. Mr. Krause pronounced it Grigori. Grigori sat quietly for the rest of the school day. When everyone else left, he got up and headed out to the parking lot. Rick watched him get into a battered car. The next day was more of the same. Grigori sat quietly for the entire day. Rick tried to talk to him during a break, but Grigori made hand signs and just looked sad. On Monday morning, Rick arrived at school before Grigori. Das Vidanya, Mama. Grigori waved enthusiastically. Das Vidanya, Grigori. Rick smiled. He waited until class started and the class monitor passed out the papers before he whispered to Grigori. Grigori smiled and whispered back, then pulled out his math sheet. So did Rick. Story problems. He whispered to Grigori, translating the problem into Russian as best he could. Grigori grabbed a pencil and went to work. At the end of the day, Mr. Krause called Rick up to his desk. Why did you let Grigori copy your answers on the math sheet? I didn't. I just translated the problems for him. You speak Czechoslovakian. Mr. Krause raised an eyebrow. Since when? Grigori calls it Czech, and no, I don't speak it. Well, then how did you translate for him? I heard Grigori say goodbye to his mother this morning, in Russian. I learned a little Russian in my last school. Russian, that we can get a translator for, possibly by tomorrow. Just then, Grigori popped his head back into the classroom. Das Vidanya, Rick! Das Vidanya, Grigori!
That's great. Loved it.
By the way, speaking of treats and such, please feel free to indulge our wonderful host, Tammy, and to go buy some coffee and some treats. We appreciate very much you giving us the space and time and always being so thoughtful.
Well, happy.